like Civil War artillery, this is the episode for you. We're here walking down Latimore Avenue in what is called Benner's Hill. And this is the area where the Confederates would set up several artillery batteries, and they would also use this location as a staging area to assault Union positions on Culp's Hill in the distance here. So we're going to explore some of the batteries here, and we're going to learn a little bit about their very young commander here. Now, before we begin, I do have a disclaimer. I am not wearing my hat backwards because I think it's cool or edgy. I already ooze enough coolness. I've been out filming since early this morning, and it is now 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so my neck is absolutely fried, and I feel like it's probably about 120 degrees right now. So in order to keep filming, I just spun the hat around so I can show you this location. All right, so this is Benner's Hill, and like we touched on a little earlier, on July 2nd, this area was used as an artillery platform and a staging area for Confederate infantry before they assaulted Culp's Hill. Now, the Confederates would place 5 batteries here, consisting of about 20 guns. So usually that's about 4 guns per battery. I believe the Union would have 6 guns per battery, so that's the main difference here. Now, their commander was a 19-year-old major named Joseph Latimore, and Latimore was born on August 27th of 1843, and he would attend the Virginia Military Institute in Lexington, Virginia. Now, come early afternoon on July 2nd, Latimore would be riding around this area in search for a suitable artillery platform. Well, he couldn't really find anything, and Benner's Hill was his only real option. So I moved a little closer to one of the Confederate batteries here, and this was the location of the 1st Maryland Battery in Latimore's battalion. And like we just mentioned, this was really the only suitable location for the Confederate artillery here, and the Union also knew that. So before the Confederates occupied this position, they would send several rounds over to this location to really zero in their guns on Benner's Hill here. And shortly after occupying this position, the 20 guns in Latimore's battalion would open up on Union positions on Culp's Hill and East Cemetery Hill. And in response, almost 40 Union cannons would begin a counter barrage operation against the Confederates here on Benner's Hill. So here is an example of what would have been 4 Napoleon cannons for the 1st Maryland Battery. And in this area, they would suffer 1 killed and 4 wounded. 1 caisson would explode, and another would be disabled. But at around 4 p.m., they would take part in a nearly 2-hour bombardment of the Union lines here. So we're standing in the area where the Allegheny Artillery would have been positioned, and they would have had 2 Napoleons and 2 3-inch rifles. And they actually suffered some pretty significant casualties here. They would suffer 5 killed and have 24 wounded, along with 9 horses killed. Something to remember, these guns were lugged around by horses, so if your horses are killed, you're going to have a pretty big issue trying to get these guns out of here. So this is the Allegheny Artillery. So we're making our way down Benner's Hill here, and if you're wondering what this area before us would have looked like, here's a picture taken after the Battle of Gettysburg, with the artillery piece here perched on the hill here. And here's what it looks like today. Now, Union Colonel Charles Wainwright said the cannon fire from this area was the most accurate fire I have yet seen from their artillery. 41 Union guns would return heavy fire with vengeance in this area from Cemetery Hill, Culp's Hill to the far left, and Stevens Knoll. Now, come dusk, this location, which once had 20 Confederate cannon firing on the Union positions, were only down to 4 operating cannons. Now, these cannons would be silenced because Major General Johnston's troops would be assaulting Culp's Hill, and they would come through this area. So the Confederate cannon would have to cease firing until the infantry was well beyond the muzzles here of the cannons to avoid friendly fire. Now, we mentioned the Confederate commander here of this position was Joseph Vladimir, and he was just 19 years old. And he would be on horseback, riding up and down the line, disseminating orders to his men while the Union and Confederate cannons were exchanging fire here. Well, a shell would burst nearby Latimore, wounding him in the left arm. That same shell that would wound Latimore would also kill his horse. Now, that horse would come down on top of him, and it would take several men to abandon the guns here and to lift that horse off of Vladimir. And Vladimir would be taken to a nearby field hospital where his left arm would be amputated. Now, sadly, Vladimir would die of his wounds received right here in this location. And here we have the Chesapeake Maryland Artillery, who were sporting 4 10-pound Parrots, and they would suffer 4 killed and 12 wounded here, along with 9 horses killed. And if you're wondering what a Parrott rifle is, Usually, you can easily identify them by this iron reinforced ring on the breech here. But here is the Chesapeake Maryland Artillery. And we're coming up on the last battery here on Benner's Hill. So we're reaching the end of Benner's Hill here. And to my right, this would be the Rockbridge Artillery, who were sporting 4 20-pound Parrott rifles. And this battery here, they would fire, see if you can see the number here, they would fire 439 rounds over the course of their time here at Gettysburg. That is impressive. I can't imagine how loud one round would be, much less numerous batteries firing at the same time, all while being in a counter barrage. All right, the sun's starting to go down, so I got the hat flipped back the right way. But as you can see behind me, this area of the battlefield isn't really visited a whole lot. I've been out here for about an hour now, exploring some of the batteries, and I haven't seen one person. So I'm pretty happy that I was able to come here and share the story of these batteries with you, along with the story of Joseph Vladimir, who was killed in action just behind me here. So if you come to Gettysburg, look up Latimer Avenue, and you're gonna find a nice secluded section of the battlefield here where you can truly just take in the battle. And as always, we'll catch you on the next one.